So I'm sitting here this morning and I'm pondering, I'm musing, I'm reflecting as per usual. It's just part of my daily practice. And I want to speak about simplicity, bringing life back to the simple, back to its core essence, the most simplistic form. And that goes for everything. There is a simplicity within the universe and in nature, in ourselves. And so I've been thinking about this, like how convoluted as humans we make these things. We make everything so scattered and we, in order for us to understand, we like to separate. We like to box things. We like to compartmentalize. We like to rename. We like to say this is right and this is wrong. This is how you're supposed to do it. And then we make all these rules and then we're all here, there, and everywhere. So bear with me because I'm just following threads right now. And I may go on a tangent. But it's like, okay, now I've just built this chaotic friggin' bubble of shit. Whew. And you can see how you get overexcited and your nervous system kind of goes into overload. And then you wonder why so many people are just like have anxiety about life, about situations, about relationships. It's like, whoa. Let's bring it back down to its simplistic form. We don't need to go there. We don't need to keep renaming and naming and saying it. They all have the inherent thread, the inherent core. So it's like when you're following a thread, an idea, a thought form, a belief, an emotion, it's really going into that particular, I want to call it an object. Energy is held and we bind it in objects, in thought forms, in emotions. So it's going in and working just with that one object. So, okay. For example, I'm feeling anger today. This is just an example. What is it about anger? First, I go and I look into it and I identify, what does anger mean to me? How do I associate with it? I'll go these words and terms and read the definition. Okay, this is the definition. How does that apply? And how am I expressing that particular emotion? So again, it's going back down to its core root of whatever that object is. And working through that and saying, okay, well, how am I expressing anger? What is making me feel angry? And then it's going deeper and deeper and you're deconstructing these objects. And you are pulling apart the superimpositions that we've created over the core essence of what it is. So anger, you can deconstruct down to grief. You're angry because you're in grief, because you feel sorrow. So let's go deeper. Why do I feel grief? Why am I feeling like I'm grieving? People grieve because they lost something or they're losing something. Well, what is it about that loss? Do you really lose anything? You don't really lose anything. Energy cannot be destroyed. It just is transformed. So when you feel like you're losing something, you're in a scarcity mindset, you're clinging on to something because you don't want to lose it. You're mourning and you're suffering. It's learning to change the perspective, but you have to go back down to the root. You have to deconstruct and pull all this shit apart in order to bring it back to its pure essence. That's alchemy. Learning that everything has a process. Everything goes through a process. Everything has a cycle. There are cycles within cycles within cycles. That is how the universe works. coming back to your core essence, going within and learning to observe and reflect and watch your own personal cycles, your own personal seasons. You begin to see a pattern. And you watch that pattern. And then you start becoming more aware of that pattern. And then you start to see, is this pattern really healthy for me? Am I in a negative cycling of thought forms? Am I in unhealthy emotions? Now you got something to work with. Okay, I have my cycle. Now I can work with that. I can continue that cycle, or I can change it. I can release it. I can transform it. I can use what's there and take the pure essence of it, and I can create a new cycle. It's learning to see the cycles, see the pattern to break the cycles. So the reason I'm going into this is that many times we get so far out in these thought forms, these belief systems, these structures that we've created, that it's so entangled and enmeshed. It's a superimposition. So it's a layering. There's layerings on everything that we do. And it's learning to see those structures and being able to pull them apart and say, okay, this holds value. This is helpful for me. I'm going to use this. But this right here, this doesn't serve me. And I'm going to pull that out. And after a while, it's like Jenga, I guess you could say. You're removing what no longer serves to build what does and take with you. You're rebuilding your personalized matrices, your geometric form. But you have to go in to find the core essence of who you are, your belief systems, your needs, your wants, your desires, your dreams. Outside of everything else, outside of family, friends, loved ones, it's putting yourself back into this container. You're building a sacred container for you to unfold in, for you to unravel, for you to deconstruct and remove the layers of conditioning, the layers of belief, and it's coming back down to nothingness. And when you can remove everything that is not yours and remove everything that you've ever learned up until now, you're working just with an empty space. And you can now, what do you want to fill in that space? And start plucking them from the quantum field, because it already exists. You've already created it. It's already there. But because we make our lives so enmeshed and chaotic by having all these different terms and modalities, belief systems, we create a mess in our lives and we're jumping back and forth. And that's the fragmentation. And it's going back and pulling those pieces back into self. So, please just bear with me, because I'm starting to go somewhere else, I think. it's just coming back to simplicity. What makes your life easy? What things bring you joy that you want to experience in your life? Is it reading a book? Is it taking a walk? Is it going and sitting outside and just watching the birds do what they do? Watching the tree and listening to the trees. We can learn a lot from our brothers and sisters in other kingdoms. But as humans, we just make everything so friggin' hard. And it doesn't need to be that way. If you look at nature, it is simple. The plants grow. The trees sway. They don't question what they need to be doing. They have an inherent genetic form that they're going to automatically just do what they're meant to do. And it's trusting that. Trusting the universe and saying, okay, I'm just going to sit back and be, and just be. And everything else will unfold because I have a natural organic system that is designed to unfold, to go through a process, to go through a cycle. I have an inherent pattern and design that is intelligent. And we just, as humans, need to learn to get out of our own way. Come back to simple. Breathe, feel. And that's another thing, is just feeling. People don't feel. They don't like to feel because most of the time they don't like the emotions. But feelings are signs. They are indicators. It's innate that help us navigate our realities. They help us navigate people, situations. And it's learning to trust what you feel, your gut, and going into those emotions. And again, questioning, why am I feeling this way? Like if I walk into work, I sense automatically each individual, what kind of mood they're in, what's going on. I can sense it. And I take those cues, and it helps me make better choices in how I interact with those people, with that environment, with the energy. I'm reading the energy of my environment based off of what I'm sensing, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally. These are all cues to help me navigate my reality. So the more that you can become aware just within your environment and read those energies around you, you start to make better choices, better decisions on how you are going to work with that energy. Are you going to react, or are you just going to step back and observe? Because most times, again, going back to cycles, somebody's in a bad mood. They're going to cycle through that. There's no reason I need to even engage with that. Let them go through whatever they're going to go through. It'll pass. It doesn't need to affect my day, who I am, what I'm doing. Everything is just coming back into here. Coming back into here. Learning to become so strong in here. Building your foundation in here. Trusting your internal guidance system. It is intelligent. And your emotions are cues to help you navigate the world. It's learning to look for those signs, those cues out in the environment. The universe is constantly in a dialogue with us. It's always communicating to us. But we're so busy running to and fro, worrying about this, stressing about this, fighting and arguing about this, right, wrong, or indifferent, da-da-da-da-da-da. We're not listening. We're not hearing. We're not observing. We're not seeing it. We're not feeling the simplicity that is constantly around us. It's learning to shut out the noise. And some people might call that a tunnel vision, and that's okay. If that tunnel vision and focusing on my internal experience is what I need to do to find peace and harmony within myself, then that's what I do. Because what it is I'm building a resilience and a strength that no matter what is going on in the world around me, I'm solid, I'm straight. I'm in the eye of the storm. Whatever is outside of my field, I will not be swayed. I am rooted. I am grounded within the earth and the sky. Nothing outside of me can harm me. Nothing outside of me can throw me off course. Now, I'm not saying we're all human. There are times where I might get thrown off of balance. But it's my responsibility. It's not to blame that other person or that situation that put me in a bad mood. It's me. I come back to self. I work through that process and say, okay, how can I switch this? How can I breathe myself back into my balanced state and bring myself back to 0 point? How can I bring myself back into harmony? And it's coming back there. And we all have this ability to do it. Learning to read your immediate environment, which technically is here. Your internal space, which we continue to expand out, which then becomes our reality, our experiences, things like that. You have to become very intimate with self, intimate with your source, your guides, your universe, however that is. And listening to the universe, because the universe will always show you. Many people, when they first awaken, they start seeing number sequences. We all know about number sequences because the universe it's a mathematical design. There's geometrics in all of it, and learning to read that and decode that. You know, we are the scientists. Learning to see these signs and decode it. What does it mean to me? This is a tool. This is something that the universe is gifting me right now. How can I use that to benefit my reality? And following those threads. And research, relearning, remembering that there's these communication lines that are trying to help us navigate our realities and our day to day so that we make better decisions in our lives that bring a healthier, more prosperous, I didn't say that right. Anyway, it's beneficial for not only yourself, but your family, your friends, the collective. Learning to see, what does it mean to me? Do I place value on it? Does it hold value for me? Is it beneficial? And if it's not, you don't take it with you. You take what works and you leave the rest. You are building your own discipline, an individualized discipline. Like my practice involves various modalities, belief systems, And one day that belief system works, the next day it doesn't, and I discard it. And I find what my soul is guiding me to and what works for me. But it's not based on what somebody else is telling me. That's